Are we ready to talk about some Japanese horror? Because today I will be talking about the movie Best Wishes to All. Before we get started, I'm Chris. You can find me all across social media as the Baba Duchess, part-time amateur movie critic and horror blogger and full-time drive-in mutant. And if you've seen my videos before, you will notice that I'm not wearing glasses today. I got tired of wrestling with the reflection in said glasses, so instead of continuing to get frustrated, I just took them off before I went into a full Bill O'Reilly meltdown.
Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. Fucking thing. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
So as I said, today I'll be talking about the Japanese horror film Best Wishes to All. It is available right now to stream on AMC Plus and Shudder, which is where I watched it. It's the story of a young woman who is about to become a nurse, and she goes to visit her grandparents and notices some odd things are happening. Now, the movie begins with her visiting her grandparents as a child and noticing these same strange things. So you already pick up on the fact that she is not really comfortable going there, especially alone, this time when usually she is with her parents. In some ways, it is reminiscent of M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit. While the story is completely different, it has that same weird things happening with this elderly couple, and you can't quite figure out what is going on. Although this one is not done in the found footage style. This movie just reinforced the fact that I really do want to visit Japan just because of the beautiful scenery. Most of it just takes place in a more rural setting. You only see the city maybe twice in the whole movie, so you really do get to take in the mountains in the background and just the beauty. You will notice as I go along that I will just be referring to the young woman, grandma and grandpa, and that is because none of the characters are named. So this young woman goes to visit her grandparents, and at first everything seems very normal. They have dinner together. She and her grandmother talk about making some miso together. When she's walking down the main road, she runs into someone she knew from childhood, and they reconnect. This is a young man. And after she's been out with him, her grandfather tells her, no, don't see that boy anymore, and won't really give her an answer when she asks why. So as she's visiting around the village and the town, she just notices that people on the outside look normal, but she gets this feeling, and you get this feeling, that something is just off that you cannot put your finger on. And in the middle of all this, her grandparents keep asking her if she's happy, to which she says, yeah, sure, I'm happy. But it seems very important to them that she is happy and that she acknowledges this happiness. In the meantime, she's noticing some strange noises that are coming from a locked room in the house. And there is this strange occasion where she is eating dinner with her grandparents, and all of a sudden they kind of go trance-like and start snorting like pigs. And while some people might find that silly, I found that completely unsettling just from where it was just completely out of the blue. What is going on? So the young woman is getting this feeling, I need to either figure out what's going on or I just need to get out of here. So she decides to start snooping around, and it comes out that locked in this back room, there is a man tied up with his eyes and his mouth completely sewn shut. And when she finds this, her grandparents just act, oh, it's no big deal, forget it, just go sit and have dinner. Okay. So there's a lot of this, of the wanting to seem normal and like everything's fine on the outside, and then but there's just something very wrong going on behind the scenes. But there's just this constant appearance of, yeah, we're fine, what are you talking about, just, we don't need to talk about this weird thing in the other room. So the young woman decides she needs help, and she goes to her friend, the young man that she had run into, and he seems to know what's going on, but you're not really sure how much. And come to find out, what is happening in this back room is pretty much an open secret through this whole place, through this whole town. I don't want to get too far into it without spoiling anything, so I won't get too specific. But you find this young woman all of a sudden thrust into in this world where she thought she knew the world. She thought she had a grasp of reality, and finding out that there is this whole unseen underbelly to things. and she really does not know what to do about this. Her family is insisting, this is fine, this is normal. Just go on with your life. We're happy, right? A lot of emphasis, again, on being happy. Don't spoil this or we will no longer be happy. This movie does tackle a lot of themes, the main one being, what is it worth to know you will always be happy? What would you do? What line would you or would you not cross in order to ensure that you and your family could always be happy? And we do have issues of class. I think we see that in the interactions between the young woman and the young man. He is a farmer. She's on her way to becoming a nurse, lives in the city. So it's a lot to pack into a movie that's not quite an hour and a half long. Like I said, the setting is beautiful. It really just takes place within this one house and then a little bit out into the town. And it also has a few instances of this really striking violence and violent images that is so effective, especially in Japanese horror movies. There's this artistry to knowing how to frame these violent images and getting a very visceral response, whether it's because you're just shocked at what you're seeing, or maybe it's something where it's like, ooh, I can kind of feel that. There's something so precise about how these images and scenes are used. Well, it may be very intense because it's not used throughout. It just makes it that much more powerful, and you just feel it that much more. This movie was produced by the producer of the original Ju-On, also known as The Grudge, which I only saw within the past year. I had always kind of put it off. I had seen the American remake, which I just really didn't care for, not because of the story. I just didn't like it. I just didn't find it all that effective. Some of the elements that they kept from the original film are what I liked. So I just said, well, I'll watch the original someday. And then I just never really got around to it. And I finally did. And I highly recommend it. I'm also going to give you a handful of recommendations that I have liked. If you are fairly new or haven't seen any Japanese horror, there's so much good stuff out there. And if you don't mind reading your movie, which I understand, I have to be in the mood to read my movie, but I will always make time for Japanese horror. There's just something about the way it's constructed and seeing these universal themes, but they're addressed from a different cultural point of view. So it just opens you up to this whole new way of experiencing a horror movie and even experiencing these themes and making you think about things in a different way. So I mentioned the original Grudge. Check that one out. I'm sure most people are more familiar with that one because of the remake. There's also the movie Audition, which that one's a pretty intense body horror movie. You don't think so at the beginning. It's about a man, he loses his wife, he's lonely, so he literally holds these auditions where women think they are auditioning for an actual role. But really, he's just looking at these tapes and seeing which one he thinks would make a good partner. Suffice it to say, the woman he picks is not right for him. And we go into it from there. But yes, if you do like a body horror movie, this one is particularly disturbing. One Cut of the Dead. This one is great. This one, the first, I want to say it's about 36 minutes, were done completely in one take. And I'm not really going to even say much about the movie because if I do, it will spoil everything, and it's best to just go into this not knowing anything. I do believe this is on AMC Plus, Shudder, I think. This one is just really special. It's just from the way the story morphs into different things, how it was made. Yeah, I would definitely check that one out. That one is more that one's more of a fun movie. I'm trying to give you some options if you don't want anything overly heavy. Some of these can be fun. If you want something classic, I do recommend Onibaba. This one is black and white and came out in 1964, and it takes place in a hut amongst all these reed fields. So you get the feel and the sound of just being completely surrounded by this really tall grass. And it's a woman and her daughter who make their living by unaliving lost samurai and selling their armor. And this particular samurai that they meet has a particularly creepy mask. And again, I won't say much more about that. But this one has the most beautiful and creepy and effective atmosphere you could want. Just listening to the wind through the reeds and the rustling as people walk. Just some beautifully stripped down horror. And you can never go wrong with the original Godzilla. I've never been really into the kaiju stuff, but I watched the original Godzilla and I really don't know what I expected, but this was not at all what I expected. It is incredibly thoughtful. It is incredibly timeless and definitely does not have kind of the over the top and some of the more goofy aspects that like a lot of the later movies in the series had, where they just went, just full on, these are just monsters fighting, which is fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking those movies, but this one is completely different in tone. I also enjoyed Godzilla Minus One, which just came out a couple of years ago. I recommend that one as well. Those are just a couple offerings. Again, without getting into spoilers, I like going into a lot of these as blind as I possibly can, because I think if you know too much or what to expect, that's just no fun. Makes it a little difficult for a video because it really limits what I can tell you about these things. But getting back to Best Wishes for All, I definitely recommend it. I give it 3.5 top hats, and I will be back with a video later this week talking about 28 Years Later, which is a film I am very excited about. So in the meantime, please like, share, subscribe, do all those things that really help me out. I really appreciate it. Like what you like, don't be a dick. And as always, be good to one another. Take one day at a time. Do the best you can.